computer. There we go. Okay.
Perfect.
So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to do kind of a little refresh on this. And then there's like some other sort of random, off the top of my head kind of notes that I had written down as well. So let's talk about, we'll start with appraisers, right? So I'm going to log in, and like you guys have a slightly different dashboard than I've got, right? But we're going to go to tournaments and we're going to look at appraisers. And my computer's like super slow. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So what I have done, except for Instant Challenge, because Haley's going to do that, and I see that Monica imported hers. So I've imported your appraisers from like the other day, right? So what you guys need to do is when we go in, and I know that Ray was like really swell and telling me like what things to assign them to, but I'm going to like kind of let her do that. Well, actually, you know what? Let's go to fine arts. So Robin, so I've imported everybody in, and they default to an appraiser. So if you want to be a head appraiser, you could set that up, and whoever's going to be the prep. So this is kind of where you're setting up, your people here. I would imagine is Michelle also a head appraiser?
Yeah, we're splitting head appraiser CM responsibility.
Okay. So anyway, so like I said, it's like right now you just have this is everybody that went to your training, including you, right? So this is where you're going to set up if people are appraisers, if they're the prep. Who did you say you wanted to do for prep?
Beth Bedell and
so we'll put her as prep. So we'll just like Elizabeth, pretend like yeah. Who is the other one? Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, yeah.
Okay. So then what you're going to do is you are going to set up what they're going to score, their scoring elements. And then this is where you like click, 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 whatever their scoring elements is. And in the Challenge Master guide, I think they have like various setups. Like if you have 3 appraisers, here's how you can balance them out. If you got 4, here's how you can configure those, right? So this is kind of where you configure everybody. Oh, was it Ray? Did you have a question?
I always use those, I said. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's like click, click, click. And this is one of those things where it just takes it, right? Like you don't have to save it or do anything like that. So you're going to do click, click, click. That's how you're going to set up your appraisers. So let me go back. So let's say you have all your appraisers set up. Let me make sure I'm doing this. If you need to add appraisers, let's go back in here. We're going to pretend like we're going to add me in. Gosh, sorry. So what I do is I do a list of counts. So you can see so you don't have to type in the whole thing, right? So I can say, oh, Catherine Carlin, I want her to be an appraiser here. And then I show up here somewhere. Yeah. And then if you want to like unassign, like let's say you've set everybody with their assignments and like, okay, well now you want to like a redo, you can unassign them, or you could just like delete them altogether if you don't need Catherine Carlin, which you kind of don't, right? Okay, so that's setting up the appraisers. If you need to add them or subtract them, yeah, go ahead.
So what are the choices?
Like the different types of.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to do head appraiser, appraiser, and prep. I don't think there's any like no score. I think like Ellen might have
timekeeper announcer.
Right, but you don't. But timekeeper announcer doesn't need to log into the system. They're just reading a script, right? So this is for people who are needing to log into the system. And prep appraiser, even though they're not scoring, they still need to obviously have access, right? So yeah, so that's kind of how you can do those. So you assign the scoring things. Then you're going to want to let them play around for a while. So we're going to go to tournaments and manage scoring. So in this case, we're going to look again at Robin's Fine Arts. So it's going to have your entire appraiser team here. And you'll see that, oh, computer's acting funny. So you'll see that, you guys are not going to get access to mobile scoring the way that some of these, like here's the prep appraisers. They're not going to be doing mobile scoring as such. So this is all defaults to mobile. Everything is fine. What you're going to want to do to let them test is here, you're going to pick a time frame where, let's say you want them to start testing 14 days before the tournament. And when you click email all, this is going to email your scoring appraisers. They're going to get a link, an email that's got a link that lets them log in to DI and get to the scoring, their scoring program and how it's configured for them. Right. So what you can do is like, you can play around with it and just kind of send it to you just so you can see how it goes. You'd have to set yourself up as also an appraiser just to kind of see, but you don't have to do email all. You can get here and just, let me see. So let's say Avery here, we can just only email Avery. And if they've lost it, like on tournament day, they don't remember what their link is or whatever, you can re-email their link from here. Okay. The other thing is, like on tournament day, if there's people that don't show up or whatever, you can reconfigure that stuff again through this, like we did before. Okay. So any question about that?
So we get to decide. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go.
When can they start?
I need to right now. I think the tournament right now is in setup mode. I need to turn it to open, and then it'll be able to like that's the mobile scoring presentation the other day where it said they might get an error if it's not open or whatever. But I can set it to open like at any point.
Okay.
So I'll set it to open tonight, and then you guys can start playing with it.
Well, they have to be notified first.
They do have to be notified. So, and that's coming through you guys. And again, like Robin, like if Robin wanted to play with this, you could set yourself up as an appraiser. You can set the scoring elements. You can click the link to just email you, and you'll get a link, an email with a link, and you click the link, just like the presentation the other day said. And so that you can see what it is your appraisers are going to see.
Okay.
And we need to make sure we tell them not to delete the
Right. Don't delete the email. I mean, you can, like I said, you can still resend it later, but it's just don't delete it.
But it'll be the same link.
It should be. I think it should be.
Okay.
All right. So scoring appraisers. Okay. All right.
And another quick question. So
yep.
So we can tell them they can start practicing. Don't delete the link, the email. When will it stop being practice? Is it
okay
before the tournament?
It stops practicing early on tournament morning. We will erase everybody's scores.
Okay.
So so they can play around. I mean, my experience is only a small percentage of people play around with it. So kind of, yeah.
I suspect that my experienced appraisers won't bother because most of them have done
you've played it before.
But the other ones I think will, or I'm going to encourage them to.
Right. Okay. So that is getting your appraisers ready. Then let's talk pre-prep. So let's go back to tournament rooms, and we want to go teams by room. All right, so here we are. So once again, we have allowed teams to do the pre-prep thing. And what we've said is they have until the 19th, which is that Wednesday, to submit for pre-prep. That's the deadline. So starting on the next day, the 20th, is when you start reviewing their paperwork.
Okay.
So, and you do it from this screen. This screen is also the screen that your prep appraiser is going to see, and you're going to be monitoring on tournament day. So this is a really important screen. So I noticed the other day, let me see if we have some team. So here's some random team that's submitted. So you see all of these, like if you kind of get into here, I think it'll actually even say, nope, it doesn't. In that pre-prep document that I sent you, it's got like what all the different states are and stuff. So on the 20th, I guess, starting on the 20th, all these teams that are in yellow, which means they've submitted. So they have submitted their paperwork. You're going to open that up, check the tournament data forms, right? Do all this kind of stuff, text or messages back and forth. If they have something they need to fix, you can change the status back to unsubmitted, right? That's the only way that they can change their things, because once it's submitted, they can't change it. So then if you want them to change it, you'd set it to unsubmitted. And then when everything is all ready to go, you're going to set
Catherine.
Yep.
I just want to say you put it to resubmit, not unsubmit.
Oh, thank you. Resubmit.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect. Resubmit. And then when everything is all ready to go, you're going to set the status to pre-checked. So that on tournament day, so this is all pre-prep stuff. On tournament day, all of these states should be at pre-checked. Now, not all teams are going to do that, right? So if they didn't, then they're going to have to do this at prep 20 minutes before they start performing, right?
Okay.
So that's all pre-prep. Then on tournament day, your prep appraiser, and this is what got everybody all verklempt last year, is that your prep appraiser has to log into manage scoring. That's how they're going to get back into this screen, right? Because last year, because again, whatever authorization they have is going to be a different dashboard than what we can see, right? And so we need to get back to here. So they're going to do manage scoring. Then what they're going to do is, anything that they see here that's been pre-submitted or pre-checked, then they're going to open it up again, look, and then they're going to set it to ready. And only when it's set to ready do the appraisers have the option, which reminds me, now I need to look at something. Only when it's set to ready do they have the option to start scoring, which reminds me that I need to do something to our tournament to set it to pretend like everything's been ready. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, they're not going to get to anything.
What?
Just go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
So the appraisers.
Okay.
The appraisers, if we're practicing, the appraisers are not going to be able to see anything because this has got to be set to ready so that they can see the team that they're going to score. The problem is we're not setting this paperwork to ready. There's a way for me to set up the tournament that we can play around with it without relying on their paperwork being ready.
When are the appraisers going to get to read the tournament data forms prior to the tournament?
They don't.
Yes, actually they do. I discovered.
Okay, so how do you?
It's new.
So
Yeah.
okay.
So
Okay.
on the mobile scoring, they can read the TDF form and the expense form and everything else. They just can't go into the scoring portion of it. So, and that's new.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So they could read the TDF forms
From their mobile client.
from their mobile client.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I should have taken a screenshot. I thought about it.
Like several days ahead of time, correct? Like as soon as, yeah.
They have to be submitted in
Right.
order to be read, but they should be able to read them because I had appraisers who it wasn't submitted, but they were still reading. I'm sorry, it wasn't moved to ready, but they were still reading the TDFs and looking at stuff. So
That's important to me. With 17 teams, I do
Yeah.
not want these guys reading them 5 minutes before the teams.
Right.
Okay.
So probably starting on the 20th, then they'll be able to. Well, no, Ellen, you're saying it doesn't have to be. Well, it has to be submitted. It doesn't have to be ready, is what you're saying, in order to just read their document.
to read the forms, yeah, ready only applies to
actual scoring. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay. This is also the screen that you as head appraisers are going to be looking at for the status of the tournament. So what's going to happen is you're going to see, can't imagine how much I hate this DI assistant thing. Go away. Okay. So on this screen, you're going to be able to monitor what's going on, right? So you're going to see how many of your appraisers have submitted, how many have locked it. So if they like have submitted their thing, their appraiser, their scores, you're going to see a count, increment, whatever. And then in this column, you're going to see it go to green, which means everybody has scored. Once that happens, over here in this little raw column, you're going to see like a little icon that looks like a piece of paper. That means that their score, that's when you can like send their scores to them. And we're just doing a click through, right? So we're just doing like open the thing and immediately sending them the scores. We're not doing this, come to see so we can walk through it with you or whatever. And that's what we're going to tell the teams too. It's like, we're just going to send them the scores when we have the scores, and then they've got so much time to come back and talk if they need to.
So another quick question, because
Yep.
I got them. So we don't have any objective score. So we click, it goes, and who it goes to is in the system already, and it goes to
Yep.
them, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah.
Exactly.
So to pick up their sticky notes, they can just stop by anytime and say, can I get my sticky notes? Blah, blah. Okay.
I highly recommend having the sticky notes available for them when they leave. I don't know. How did you guys do it last year?
Yeah. Okay.
Because otherwise they got to come back and they don't know to come back.
I like
and
that.
I end up going home with sticky notes.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. And so it's like instant gratification. At least they get something, right, that they can look at. So yeah, that's what I want to see. The sticky, give them the sticky note if you can as they exit, kind of thing.
We should be able to, because they'll be getting ready for the next team, and by golly, they'll be done.
Right.
And we'll just say, can you hang out for another 30 seconds, and I'll hand you this piece of paper.
Right.
They'll
be happy to, for sure. The teams will be happy to.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
If there are, let me like go to our last year's tournament so I can show you some of this stuff, kind of like in real life. All right. Oops.
Yeah, last year for the sticky notes, I just had them ready as they were leaving. I asked the appraisers to write those first so that we could get them going.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, you have to look at what they're doing and go, I really love that.
Well, I know, yes, after
Right.
the performance, but instead of talking about what they saw, write your sticky note so I can get it out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't have to come back, because like I said, it's like every year, and I feel really bad because there are teams that the next day or even that night, I'll get an email that says, I didn't pick up my sticky notes. Where are those?
Mhm.
They can be dead last. They don't care. They want to see the sticky notes. And again, we're doing sticky notes like on real paper. We're not doing it through the system.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's an example of, so this is from last year. So you'll see how like when these are set to green as go, this we must have set back. So this is what pre-checked looked like. If you have, okay. And then like I said, there'll be like a little kind of paper icon here that shows up. Once you've shipped out that score, you're going to get a little green check mark here. You can go in and unsubmit scores if you need to. Like this guy said,
I'm
oh
gonna
dang,
stop you
I
for a
should have.
second.
Yep.
That little green, sorry about this. That little green check mark that you said, because I want to make sure I get this part right. Do we get that when the score room? Because we said everybody finishes their scores. No, nothing's.
No, there's no score room piece of this. That check shows up when you send it to the team.
And then at that. Oh, okay. So as soon as all the scores are like not saved but sent, then we can immediately send them to the team.
Yes, because over here, like see, this has got, there's 6 people. If you haven't sent it yet or whatever, what am I trying to say? So the lock shows that people have submitted it. If it's like, if there's a little thing here, it says like one guy hasn't submitted his. So yeah, you're sending these. The other part of this is
last year, so I didn't do this last year, so I got to make sure I'm doing
well,
it
right. So here's kind of the other part. is that we're watching this in the score room too. So I'm going to see if, you're up to like 10:30 and I don't see, because I can look at all these too. I don't see that any of these scores have been sent out, then I will come and visit you. And we'll go through this screen and just as a reminder, right?
Okay, again, just to review. So all of my appraisers score and they're confident and they're like submit, and then they've
Yep.
all submitted, and then I go into this little raw thing and I click,
Right. There will be a little piece of paper there.
and what do I click? That
And
piece of
so
paper,
you'll click on the piece of paper.
and that will send them automatically.
It'll bring up a screen that says, do you want to send the scores? And then you'll say yes, and then it'll send the scores.
Okay.
Now the thing is, like we usually keep back a couple, 2, 3 or whatever in the beginning. So we say save the scores, but don't submit them until you're kind of sure. So people could be like, so let's say here, Rosemead, somebody appraised them and they're like, you know what, I kind of don't like, I want to go back and do it like an undo or whatever.
Right.
So you can go back into this and you can like these, you see all these guys have submitted, but this one hasn't. So you can just click that and now they can go back in, they can refresh their screen. They can go back in and change the score. And actually you could have sent out the scores already because it says that this is preliminary. So they could go back in and change it or whatever.
Well, I don't know what you just did, so I may be calling you on that.
Go back. Back
Okay.
up because I didn't.
Okay. So here I am. We're like, oh, dang. I don't like so Enid says here, let me go back to this one. So everybody has submitted their scores. Oh, boy, my computer's really slow. Everybody has submitted their scores. And Enid says, okay, so here, let's see. They're all submitted. Enid goes, oh, dang, I wish I would have scored something different. And she can't change her score because she's already submitted it.
Where am I going to? Oh, teams by room. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go back then. So here we are. Remember, this is the
stupid here.
teams by room is what you're going to be looking at for your particular room. So we're in the tech room. So we're looking at like this first one here. And so I'm clicking on detail, which brings up what everybody has scored.
Do that again. Where's the detail?
Okay, so right here with the little people.
Oh, detail. Okay, got it. Okay.
So I'm clicking on detail, which brings me everybody's score, how every appraiser has scored.
Okay.
Enid says, I want to change my score. Like I didn't like what I did. So here's where you unsubmit their score or you re-enable her to be able to change. So you're going to click this back to unsubmitted, this little green yellow thing. They're going to have to refresh their screen so they can get to it again, but then they can get to it again. And once she submits, then that's going to automatically go back to blue.
Okay. Well, this hopefully will not happen if we just hold.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So then it's like the raw stuff, like you send it out. These columns here are for deductions. Where are you?
Columns.
I'm on the little error and danger kind of things. Okay. So we're going to look at this one middle school here. This is our favorite middle school. They got a deduction. So if there's a deduction, you just click that little dash and it's going to bring up the screen of like add a deduction. And it'll lead you through this. Like, what kind of deduction do you want? See what kind of deduction. We're going to say interference. And I'm going to say, this is me, right? And I'm going to write down what the deduction is, and then I'm going to save it.
Okay.
And just a quick note, you only want one appraiser entering deductions.
Right. Okay. Only you should be doing this. Like no random. This is why we don't do deductions in training, because it's like, first of all, it's not like every team gets a deduction, right? Second of all, you don't want people in there like messing around with stuff, right?
So, okay, just to go through what Ellen just said and what you just said. So we get a deduction, and Ellen said, "Well, I should do this, but do I do it through one of the scoring appraisers?"
No, you can. You can do it yourself here. How do you do it, Ellen?
I have a member of the appraisal team write it up.
Okay.
Save, and then I review it and talk to them.
Right.
Just to see. And sometimes I say, nope.
It's not. Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
I say,
right,
yep.
Right. So people shouldn't just be doing, this should go through you. So you can have someone else, your minion, do it. But it's like.
Yeah. The person that saw it and the appraisal team agrees and they're all, hyped up and upset, then Absolutely. They should write it up and then I read it.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
So
Yeah.
then what you're gonna see on your screen then is see like here this team got a deduction. So I can click there and it's gonna say here's what the deduction was. Here's how they wrote it up. Felt that the students did this, right?
And then when you send the scores,
The thing about deductions, I know you guys know, is that don't count the deduction in to the score. You know what I'm saying? It's like don't give a lower score because they did something funny. It's like give them a normal score and then give them the deduction.
Okay, could you go back to that screen again?
Which one?
The deduction screen.
All right, so we're going to pretend like we're going to do a deduction. So I click that little dash. I'm going to say I'm going to add a deduction. It's going to tell me what kind of deduction I want to do. And then, you can click, you want points, like how do you want to do this kind of thing, right? And then you say save. I'm not going to do this because I don't want to really send a deduction to last year's team.
So Ellen, when you do this, both of you, when you do give a deduction, do you save it if you're having your team member or your appraisal team member write it up? Do you have them save it and then you review it, or what? How does that
yes. Yeah.
work? Okay.
But you review it before you enter it in the system, correct?
I think they can save it and then we can go back and hit submit.
Okay.
That's what I was kind of figuring.
I would think that for me, like somebody sees something that needs a deduction. Like I talked to this little kid and he told me that his coach made
Right.
everything, that kind of thing. So then what we usually do is clear the room and we talk about it. And then we pick someone who's going to type it in, and then we decide how much we're going to give and what it's going to say, and then he types it, and that's you or he or she.
And that's
usually
perfectly
how I-
fine too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you do that. You do that before you send the scores.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
As you're going, after the team is finished, you talk to them and they leave. That's when you do it. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
trying to get an idea of how.
Before you see the next team, I think.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
think.
We
Yeah.
usually shut down the room before the next team comes on, because once you send the scores in, of course, if you have a deduction, then they have that, once they get the
Right.
scores, they have a 30-minute window to, oppose
So-
it.
Right. So you don't want to send them the scores and then go back and do the deduction, and now they don't have an opportunity to come back and ask you
So
about
you
it, right?
say you usually clear the room. Are you talking about making spectators leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we clear it. This is what I do. Because you don't want spectators listening to you talk about somebody's deduction.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you do that in between every team? That's
No, but only if there's a deduction.
Okay, gotcha.
And hopefully there won't be any, and
Doesn't-
there aren't any, but when there are, and we've had some, that's what we do. We basically get everybody out, and we have a door person saying, it's going to be a few minutes, and we tell the prep person, don't bring anybody in. And then we quickly try to figure it out and give them the points or the percentage and write it up, because you have to kind of do it right away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Okay. The other, so this again, you monitor and remember, like we're watching this too. So I know that there's a lot going on. So we'll come by and go, how you doing? Do you need to send out scores? That kind of thing. The other thing you can do from this screen that, does all is that this is where you can give somebody an award, a special award. So let's go back to this. So we got teams by room. And we're like, end of the day, let's say, and we're going to we've noted a couple teams are kind of good. So you click view awards, and this is going to be the same thing where it's like you pick which team from the drop down. Like these guys are really good. I'm going to add an award. And then it's like, which award do you want? Da Vinci, like, is it an individual, is it a team? I mean, this is like really good. It just leads you through all this kind of stuff. Then it's like, blah, blah. And then you submit it. And then what happens is like we go through and review things and either like accept or reject. That sounds like really harsh terms, but it's like, we accept that as a thing. And I think that somehow there's some notification that they get, I feel. I don't know. Anyway. but then that's how we set up for awards that we, get that from. So you do all of that stuff from the system.
This isn't part of this training, but did Margaret, did you go over that? Because I don't remember hearing that. And maybe I was just having a stroke or something at the time. I
Well,
remember
there's
We didn't
part
go
awards
into
being-
awards in the general session because we left that to you guys.
right.
Oh,
And part of the mobile scoring is that the appraisers can write notes. Like I was particularly, impressed by this or whatever. So they can write notes in the system that only they see, right? So at the end of the day, they can go back and say, you know what, I left a note for this one, or left a note about this one team that did such and such. So then they can kind of like remind themselves kind of how it worked.
which is
so-
really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
So
wanna-
see how in this room we have several that were approved, like one that was submitted, but several that were approved.
I just
And
wanna
then,
put
yeah.
a plug for next year if we could do that in the general, because every challenge has the awards are pretty much universal. And
I think it makes sense to talk about it as part of mobile scoring and making a note, but and to let them know, I think you're right. It's like let them know that there are special awards. So keep track of who you think was particularly great, because it's like at the end, you're kind of the guy that leads that discussion, right? Like what did you see some teams, or what did you notice or whatever? And because you guys are the ones that are submitting these awards. Is that how you've done it last year?
so I just think they need to understand what a Da Vinci is, what a Spirit of DI is in general. And then when we get to that day, we can put them out like the definitions, the explanations, and then they can kind of pay attention. But I think some of it they get overwhelmed if you're trying to dissect the challenge, and then you're
Well, but the other thing is that instant challenge. We always run into the like this doesn't apply to instant challenge, right? So now you get like a third of your appraisers listening to. I think it's worth mention. I think it's worth considering.
Although instant challenge,
Challenge does give out special.
they can
awards.
give out
Do they?
Biggies
Okay.
and Renaissance, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say I generally talk to the appraisal team before it starts and say, remember, we have 2 awards. I don't ever count the Spirit of DI as existing. That's just me.
yeah, I love that.
Everyone there has the Spirit of DI.
But
But I say the Renaissance is actually engineering, and the Da Vinci is creativity, which is bass backwards. And so as you go through the day, write some notes, because there's some awards, special awards we could give. So I cover a little bit, but it's a lot.
Well,
I mean, they've already heard
they have,
a
and
lot.
some of them are glazing
So-
over. But I agree. I mean, I always print them out and I kind of put the definition there, and I say, okay. But I like that concise. Okay, creativity, engineering, blah blah blah. And I also say, if you see something that you go, what?
Right.
That's
Right.
amazing.
I went over
you know,
them.
make a note. We'll
briefly
talk
in our
about it.
training.
Of other things I need to do, but that's okay. I think it's fine. I have a lot of experienced appraisers who already know it, but I think at that day I make them come an hour early. We can just kind of,
Yeah.
review them then, and hopefully it'll be fine. I'm just okay.
Okay. So that's kind of what I have for that. I have a couple other notes. So do you have any other questions about so I sent you the 2 different cheat sheets that should kind of jog your memory a little bit about some of the stuff that we're going over here.
Have a
And
memory.
and again, like I'm going to be there. So yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to send us a link so we can watch this since you're recording it?
I can, yeah.
Yes, please.
I might want to do that.
I would
I
like
might
that
wanna
too.
look at it again.
Okay.
I would like.
Well, and this was really a good refresher. It's a little bit simpler at Rising Stars level. Everybody scores everything. Everybody was handwritten, typed in things, and we don't really give awards. But just how the you move from the prep part. This was a really good refresher for me.
Well, and last year, and I appreciate that, because like last year, that whole business of our site can't go until the status is ready, and I'm like, where the heck is that? I have no idea where. Like I'm sorry, my brain didn't immediately go to that's part of mobile scoring, right? That's like prep. How is that part of mobile scoring? So I was like running around every site and Yeah.
But there is a really good prep step by step. It's from a
Yes.
couple of years ago, but
Yes.
that
So-
stuff I don't think has changed. And I had that printed out,
Yeah.
and we, for the first little bit, we were all sort of referring
Yeah.
to how's that supposed to go?
Yeah, I sent
Yeah,
that. So when I sent the invite to this, I sent 2 different cheat sheets and that prep appraiser, that pre-prep document. So yeah, so take a look at that. Okay, one quick comment. There's a university level team here that we will not see. So so let me give you the kind of the backstory. So this is Abby's it's Abby's team that's now a university level team. And university level teams can start, they don't have to go to regional. They don't have to, they can start wherever they want to start, right? So they want to compete at state. The problem is that they have to be in the system in order to, advance them to state. Are you with me? So we're doing this FACO. They're in the system. Give them, I don't care what kind of scores. There's not going to be a team there.
What challenge are they not going to be doing?
They're not going to be doing improv.
Okay.
So we have put them at the same thing with Instant Challenge. We've scheduled them for the last team of the day. So just like click, 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 whatever, it doesn't matter. They just need to be in the system. And of course, because they're university level and the only one, they're going to get, all the points kind of thing.
Yeah,
but this is the only way that we can figure out, because you can't start at state. Anyway, so that's that. Carbidarbons. We have, please remind your people to do like Lone Star. If they want to do sign up to appraise at state. And I think I've sent a link for you guys, and I will send it again later. Okay. Ellen has a speech for us.
Okay.
Are you there, Ellen?
Yeah,
You want me to read the speech?
Yeah, I'm not sure we need it now, but
yeah. So just a couple of reminders for the teams. It's like, we're here for the kids. Please be, as fair as you can, because some of these appraisers are going to know some of the kids. There's teachers, there's kids that used to, my kid used to be on their team or whatever. So just to make sure that they're all sort of, on the up and up.
Yeah, read my speech.
You want me to read it?
I worked at least 3 minutes on it.
Okay, let me read this. Let me read this speech. So the speech is, see, this starts out with the movie Untouchables, where like a whole bunch of people get killed. So I kind of wasn't knowing where you were going with this. So she says, in the movie The Untouchables, the prosecution reveals to the judge that not only do they know that the judge is on the take from Al Capone, but many people in the jury are as well. The judge sends his jury down the hall and takes the jurors from a divorce case and seats them in Al Capone's jury. This can't happen in reality. Legally, and for us today, that can't happen. She's saying this is a speech to your appraisal team before you start. You all have been through training and graciously volunteered to appraise for all the teams in this room. While it cannot be avoided that some may know a team manager or a team member, it is incumbent upon you to appraise each team fairly with blinders with regard to if you love them or love them less. That being said, and not wanting to sound terribly controlling, should it become apparent to the head appraiser and or the challenge master that an unwarranted bias for or against the team appears in your scoring, all of your scores will be removed from the scoring program for all teams. Whoa. Good news, you won't know it happened. Even better news, for the teams, we will. I beg you to give all of the teams you see a fair and balanced review and a fair and balanced scores. This ends the sermon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they've already received the raw scores, at the end of the day when you pull that appraiser's scores.
maybe. Well, maybe. And the
I
thing
know
of it
they
is,
don't see individual appraisers'
right.
scores.
But you're right. You're right. If we're pulling them, right. If we're pulling them, we pull all the scores. So, and the thing is, like, they get their thing says this is a preliminary score.
It's meant to be a threat, so they don't do it. So we're hoping
Well,
it
right.
Exactly.
Right. It's like
Exactly.
we're assuming people can behave, but over the last couple days,
Oh, we've had issues.
maybe not. Okay. All right. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to ask
Send
you
that to
guys,
everybody.
I
send it to-
like the Al Capone reference. Got
I
their
love
attention.
Hey, it's so I remember when they switched the juries.
Yeah, I
That was
remember
when they
that
switched
too.
the jury, right? Yeah. Here, isn't it called "Thus endeth the lesson"? Isn't that what Sean Connery says?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to talk to you guys about before we talk extreme is, so I sent the thing about like how many worksheets and stuff like that you guys want. Here we go. So there's some sticky page for every team for you guys. So this is what the sticky pages look like. These notes pages look like, right? It's just for a old school, right?
Okay.
So let me know how many of these you want.
one for each appraisal.
if you want them at
Right, what we
all.
should be saying it.
Yeah, one for each appraiser. I think
Mhm.
that's what Robin is doing. Then if you are like technical, they have a worksheet. And if you're engineering, you got a couple different things. You've got that. There's a check-in document. It looks like that.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yes. So let me know how many notes pages you want and how many worksheet type things you want, if that applies to your challenge.
I have a question.
All right. Yes.
Does it still let us write in the information for the appraisers? I'm flipping through here and I don't see it. Because they have to know what they're looking for. And I can't give them written papers because someone might see it. The only person who gets a written paper is the announcer.
I don't
So
know
you're
what
saying
you're talking about.
You're saying specifically for improv, you're
Yes.
saying?
Yeah, what the elements.
Because we had a little problem last year, so I just want to make sure.
I don't know that. Let me see. Yeah, you guys don't have anything extra. So however you do that, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing that's got the team names on it that's generated by the system for improv.
It was at the bottom of their when they pulled up to score. I'll look for it and I'll see what I'll ask.
Yeah, I don't know where
Regina
that.
was going to come and be an appraiser for me, but I have so many. I don't even need as many as I have.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
So I
too
have a
many.
question. I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yep.
You said something early about prep having to go into manage
Scoring.
scoring. How is that different from anybody else? I wasn't sure. Do regular appraisers just go directly into the room?
Okay, right. So
Where they click on their-
the scoring appraisers are going to get a link in an email. And they're
Okay.
gonna
You froze for a minute.
You froze, so we didn't hear that.
okay, sorry. So can you hear me now? Okay, let me stop. Maybe.